What about academic writing? Traditional academic writing, or like writing on demand. Let's take a look at how text structures can help with those. First off, when might a student be asked to write traditional academic writing? You might be asked to do academic writing on a standardized test for a grade, for academic credit, for college credit, after graduation, for some academic journal. Are there some text structures that could help students answer questions, for example, in the content areas? Maybe even something like a homework question where they're asked to explain their answers fully. Sure there are. These are the traditional questions that people get asked to write about at school. These are sometimes called the text structures. There are 5 text structures that people generally recognize, but we know there are hundreds and thousands of others. But these are typical structures. What about for persuasion? The 3 rhetorical appeals. Ethos, pathos, and logos. We could set those up as text structures and make it really easy for students to learn how to do these. What about in logic, or the classics, Aristotle, Cicero? We can take any of those and turn them into the little text structures that make things so easy for students. But what about that dreaded 5-paragraph essay? Well, it is truly a worthwhile structure for kids to learn. And I have a favorite way to teach the 5-paragraph essay. This one I call the 11-minute essay. Have students compile a list similar to this. Stories they've loved, movies they've loved, intriguing or interesting moments from history, and then they have a bank of raw materials. They can put these anywhere, like in the backs of their journals or in their writing folders. They could be in just about any shape. So now, once they have that bank, they're all set for the 11-minute essay. Here's the first step. Look at this picture and the sentence and ask yourself, do you think that's true? If you do, copy that sentence onto your paper, and if you don't think that's true, then change it until you have a true sentence. For the next 1 minute, what does that mean? And you time your students to make sure that you stop them after a minute. Then for the next 3 minutes, look at that sentence and see how it connects to any story or book you've read. Name that story or book and tell how that sentence is true in that book or story. Next, think about a movie that it connects to. How's that sentence true in a movie? Pick a movie, indent, name that movie, and tell how is that sentence true in that movie in the next 3 minutes. Then you give them 3 minutes and you stay quiet. At the end of 3 minutes, stop them and say, now, take a look at that sentence again and think about moments in history. How is that sentence true in any moment in history? The last step is to take a look at what you wrote and think about what's one thing that all this leaves you wondering about that sentence. Start your last paragraph with the words, I wonder, or this makes me wonder. And write for 1 minute. When that's over, they've written an 11-minute essay, and you make sure to ask who would be willing to share, because listening to what other kids wrote really helps those students who didn't know for sure if they were doing it right. Have everybody copy the structure onto their page, and after we do it 2 or 3 times, this structure becomes second nature. But what if the students don't have a successful experience? Here's an example. Dante was one of my 6th graders. The first day that we did a 5-paragraph essay, this is what he wrote. He didn't know what to write. But then at the end of the 11-minute essay, everybody listened to a few out loud written by their classmates. So the next day, Dante's 11-minute essay looked like this. Dante learned more and more how to make those mental connections from listening to his classmates' pieces. The third day, he wrote this. Take a look at that growth over 3 days, 3 simple days. Give your kids a chance, and if they listen to each other's pieces, they will all become really efficient writers using this process, the 11-minute essay. Want to see a couple of examples from students who wrote it on the Texas STAR test? Here's a 7th grade essay that got a score 0.8 using the 11-minute essay. A little bit mutated. They left out one of the paragraphs because they were only given 26 lines. Here's another one written by an English 2 student, made the highest possible score. There it is, chunked up and kernelized. You can tell that student had some experience with the 11-minute essay. Here's one from an English 2 student, also high-scoring essay. The same kind of thing. They were used to using the 11-minute essay. Regardless whether it's something just for a grade or a test, an appropriate text structure, well-chosen text structure, can help students with any writing task.